Now guys, very important, let me show you the basis of poly painting in ZBrush. So to do a poly paint, detail one, you need polygons, because poly paint is making each polygon a different color or the same color as the other ones, doesn't matter, but each polygon cannot be two colors. Each polygon is only one color. So the more polygons you have, the more colors and the more detail you'll be able to get. Take this as the more resolution you have. The more polygons, the more resolution. We don't need super much extremely big resolution here, but still we need some. Let's go to the sword, for example, and we will take it for example. Now I will Control Shift click on just the blade, so I can work only on the blade, because I want to make something on the blade. I will just play with it a bit with the high polish brush, just doing some stuff. And okay, so what I want to do now is if I want to fill the object here, I will go to the color I want. For example, let's try this color, which will be yellowish, like this. I will try to achieve something like this. So yeah, let's try this color, let's fill it. Okay, it's kind of good. But now we want the edges to be whiter or just lighter. So we have to fill object is with what we choose the color here, and then we press fill object to fill it with that color, the object we have. If we have hidden something, it will not be filled. So that's why I hid the handle. And this is, I think, in color, fill object. It's here, yeah. This button, we have put it here. It's very important. Color, fill object. And I always put it here because I don't use anything else from color except for fill object gradient. I haven't used that ever, but whatever. So now we need a whiter point. So let's go to mask. Masking here is below geometry and everything. It's here in the middle, around the middle part. Masking. We open it, and then we need this mask by cavity here. Mask by cavity. Mask by AO, ambient occlusion, is also good, but it's very slow. Mask by cavity, let's just press it by default settings, and we see this. It's masking some cavities. We don't need exactly this for this part. We need to make this curve go a little bit downish like this, and mask by cavity. And now you will see that we have masked very much a lot of areas except for those kind of peaks, which is kind of what we need. But let's try more to increase the blur. No, to decrease the blur. Okay, and then to decrease this mask or decrease the intensity. Yes, the intensity of the blur of the mask we can increase or decrease it. And now we can, of course, with Control, add some mask in here, and we will be completely alright. Of course, we will always have to push the things a little bit further with doing it by hand, you know. So now we have masked some areas and we want to make them lighter. How to do that? It's very easy. We can hide the mask. It will be there, but we won't be able to see it. With Control H. Control H will hide the mask. Now the mask is there. If I try to run my my standard brush, for example, I'm on standard brush, and if I make it with RGB like this, this is my alpha brush here. The alpha brush is exactly standard brush with RGB. Of course, the RGB intensity doesn't matter, but let's place it on 100, and we start with dragging like this. And you see, I'm dragging a lot, but I only color the places that are unmasked. So Control Z a few times until the red disappears. We don't need red, we need more like white. So I will go with white and just drag, because I don't want it to be on full intensity. If I want on full intensity, I will go full object. But this is not what I want. I want it to be a little bit. So I'm dragging with my tablet without pushing it too hard. So it's a little by little. And also, we may wanna make this white a little bit yellowish. So it's not exactly super white. Because white is boring. Black, also boring. Yellowish, kinda can do the trick, you know? But we'll see. So I'm just dragging, and now we see this. And this will be our final result. We can always make again the mask, but now I will Control H to show the mask, to show you that I can just erase the mask. We can do the same thing for here, for this, but let's do it for both. Let's again mask by cavity. We have this, and we can go with some brush to make this lighter areas. Let's decrease this and make this even thinner. It will be better. And we can even invert the mask by control clicking outside the object. Control click, invert the mask, then control click on the object to blur it, and then control click again. So now the mask is a little bit blurred and it's a little bit more interesting probably. I will fill it with manual masking here. And then it's kind of okay. Of course, I will fill it with manual masking more, because I think it's necessary here in those areas. It's too small. And we need a little bit of, just a little bit. And I will fill it also here, because this has to be darker. And now I will fill it with lighter color. How to select color? Selecting color from the mesh here will be just placing our mouse over some color and pressing C. And now you see the color has changed. If I press it over this masked color, it will change to this darker hue of that color. So I'll press it to the lightest possible and then move it more into the light. And then with this color, I can start, of course, Control H to hide it. And I will start dragging it all over just to make those kind of lighter areas. And then I will invert the mask and make some darker areas, which also is a good idea sometimes. But you will see that in just a moment. Now I've made that kind of lighter areas. Now I will Control click and invert the mask, Control H to hide it. And then I will select one darker color and make it even darker. And I will go to the most darkest places in the world. And I'm trying to hover my mouse and drag over the areas that that has to be dark, and not over the areas that are light. Although I have mask, sometimes manually you can do more. And I think this is looking kind of good. Let's see it. It's not super good, but it's nice. I will drag some with a big brush in here, also in here, and release the mask by control dragging. And I will make this darker. And now we kind of see what we have. Okay. Now this is looking more like a sword. A little bit more, not too much. Then we can select this color again, so going over it with the mouse and pressing C. It doesn't have to be with the mouse, it could be with the tablet as I'm doing. And we go to the shoulders, fill object, and now the shoulders are this color. And if we change the color, you can see the shoulders are already filled with this color and we cannot unfill them. It's just like this. I think there's a way to unfill them. I'm not sure how. We don't need, we can change always the color. So we can fill them, for example, with this color. It doesn't matter. So now we have this color on the shoulders, and let's make the same as the other things. Let's go to the mask by cavity here. Make this, let's try this. Okay, we have now the lowest points, which is nice, but I want it to be a little bit more interesting. So I will increase the blur, increase the intensity, and then I will go and smooth, invert, smooth by just control clicking on the object. And now we will have this. Control H again to show the mask. I will just pick this color because it's dark. Control H to hide the mask. And now I will go with my brush. It's very important your brush to be just on RGB. Obviously most of the brushes have Z-add because you want to sculpt, but now we don't want Z-add. We want just RGB on because we want just to make some RGB changes. Polypaint, that is. Polypaint is RGB something. And with these masks we can easily go ahead and have our cavities filled to make some fake ambient occlusion, for example, or something, and it's kind of good. Of course, this is one thing, and then we should of course make the other shoulder also. And I can kind of go down to RGB intensity and just fill object with a little bit of this color. And then we can press C and just drag the normal color and draw with it. And that kind of fills it. And we need to do it because it's a bit more, this color. Also, I like on the shadows, on the shadow areas, on the color to be more vibrant. This is not exactly vibrant. So let's see if we have mask. Okay, we still have mask. So let's go to more vibrant color. This one, but more vibrant like here, and more reddish like this. And just go to RGB intensity low, Control H to hide the mask, and just click it. And now we have this color a little bit more vibrant, and again it's going there. And now I'm selecting with C and dragging. You have to have this artistic feeling. I cannot teach you this feeling exactly what to do because I'm not doing it exactly like it is on the concept. I'm kind of doing it like this, but I'm more or less putting some darker color in the crevices. And now I will move this down to be able to put lighter color on the other parts. And you will notice that in just a minute. I will play with the Z intensity here, with the intensity of the cavity. And this is looking kind of good, but kinda. We'll see if it will work. Probably it should be a bit thinner, so I will do this. Yes. And now I will fill this with lighter color, which is kinda this. Fill it, Control H to see what we're doing. Fill. Few times I will fill it, and then I will go with C and just drag with RGB intensity bigger. RGB intensity is basically how much color will be applied in one stroke. And sometimes we need less color, sometimes we need more. That's up to you, of course. And probably because I'm rotating and moving too much the model, I will have problems with my camera, but still it has to be done, you know. You cannot do it without this. And here in the inner part I will place just more black, no, but this darker color here, I will select it. Then with a brush which is lower, I'll just drag a few times without mask. I will drag here and here and inside there and there. Some subtle things, of course, but they are making the difference, you know. I will also drag here just to make this darker, because, you know, the light is most of the times coming from the top, so those planes that are turned down should be darker. That's just obvious, and we should consider that always. That's why I'm making this. The bottom part of everything just darker, darker, darker. And the top part lighter. And yeah, it's taking a bit of a time to make this. Already half of the video and more is gone. But still, I think you've started to learn how to make this kind of things. And probably the shoulders were very much one of the most complex things. We'll see. Now let's do the same. We have something to pick on. Let's pick this color. Fill this a lot because it's RGB intensity 18. If it's 100, we can fill it just once and the whole color will be there. If we fill it little by little, it will take a while. And then we can mask by cavity. And now most of the cavities are masked. We have this strange thing going on inside, but we don't care because the inside doesn't bother us that much. We will take this color, we will go reverse, and then control click. I'm just making this, I'm not sure that it will work. I will take this color and fill those areas, and they are now filled, and it looks awful. So I will go with my C, and then I'm going to just try to keep these darker areas inside the crevices, inside those things. Hopefully I will do it. And good poly painting is a skill. You have to practice it. I haven't yet fully managed to do it, but I'm at least trying, and I'm giving you now some essentials just to be able to do it. So now with the lower opacity of the brush, lower intensity, I'm just going with the darker color to fill this because I feel like this is not catching too much light, so it should be darker. And also below the shoulders in this area, it should be darker because it's kind of a ambient occlusion here. Maybe artificial, but still ambient occlusion. When there are some parts that are this close, we will have a darker color, like ambient occlusion, between them. That's why I'm doing this. And also overall, the lighter color will be here upward, and then the back will be a bit darker, like this. And here will be lighter, so I will select the lighter color here and just try to apply it in this area on the top. Of course, it should be a bit more saturated, I think. Yeah, this is kind of better. And then we will do the same thing all over and all over for the helmet and for the other things, but this will be in the other tutorial, in the other videos, in this same tutorial, in the same course. Don't worry. So see you in the next one, of course.